Still definitely room for an Alchemist though, and I think we are probably going to see one come out from NoPing if it is not picked up by PentAce. Now PentAce will have a think about their 4th pickup, but they have 2 cores left. Should mention as well, it does look like an offlane Enigma. Should be a POS 4 Task POS 5 Enchantress we're looking at. So you know there's going to be an offlane Enigma, you know there's going to be either an offlane or a mid DP. Still very flexible for both drafts. Do you want to leave this position 1 pick up till the last pick for PentAce, or would you rather just, maybe pick it up now, go for the mid pickup later on?
I think that's what we tend to see the priorities be like, although it's really open. Like, the issue now for PentAce, if they do pick a mid, NoPing could easily just go DP mid if the matchup is favorable. That flexibility still exists for them, whereas for PentAce, if they block in mid, like, they have no real flex now. Enigma is just going to be stuck on that off lane, as you mentioned. They go with the Jug pickup here, so they're trying to leave that mid open to prevent NoPing from still flexing that DP and maybe going for something else in the off. Jug does tie in nicely with Enigma Enchantress. There's a lot of heals coming through here for PentAce with the Healing Ward and the Enchantress heal as well. So they have some ways of keeping their creep wave alive, applying that early pressure. Jug times are really tight as well, but NoPing just go Medusa.
Okay.
So the option was left. They go into it. As you mentioned, Stone Gaze into Black Hole is actually pretty nice. Pierces through to BKB when you can get the stone off. Anyway, the Juggernaut might be able to rip through the Mana Shield, especially if you itemize for, say, a Diffusal down the line here. And we have seen Jugs be really annoying with the Ag Shard edition, right? Like, it's not even something you diverge from. You go for the same standard build, Maelstrom SNY Basher for the most part, and then go Ag Shard. You do have that free spin stun with the additional attack you get with that spin, so it's fairly potent from the Jug, but there are some downsides to the hero. The downtime of Omni Slash is the big one, so you're going to have to watch that timing with the Medusa, and the Medusa still sort of wins out that farm war just because of how her split shot does work, so you will still have to kind of try to shut down HFN early on, prevent that Medusa from getting too much initial farm and start to overtake the game as it starts to pull late.
It feels like a great pick as well. Like, into the Enigma during the laning stage, spamming Mystic Snake on the Eidolon is going to be very annoying for that Enigma. Even the split shot going to be quite annoying in terms of just trying to keep those Eidolons alive. Of course, the Jug doesn't really have the greatest way of closing the gap up against the Deucer. We have seen a lot of Jugs go Blink into the Swift Blink later on into the game, and you might see Fear picking up an early Blink this time to try and really break the gap and not allow that Deucer to be able to free farm the whole game. Only time will tell. We'll see what Fear's intention is with this Jug. NoPing, they do have the last pick. They've got to make their last pick first. Still got about a minute, 10 seconds of reserve time left to think about this one. Who do you think's ahead in the draft, though? Like, do you think this Medusa is going to get the time to be that effective?
It's a difficult one. I think the Medusa itself is fine. My issue here is with the DP core. Like, offlane, you have to play around with Exorcism a lot more, and it's more important for the side of NoPing to make use of that spell compared to, say, PentAce forcing out Black Holes. Not as big of an issue. Like, the Enigma is just not about the Black Hole as much until it reaches late game. So NoPing have to apply that pressure early with the DP, get some team fights with the EXO, go into a tower, take the objectives, clear out space for the Medusa to farm up. This last pick, Tiny, sort of helps them match that timing. Like, the Tiny just needs to hit Blink, maybe Echo Saber up, and then you're running around the map, getting damage off. Have to be careful about jumping something like, say, the Juggernaut, because having that natural spin sort of breaks off the combo, and we do tend to see, if you do go Tiny, like, before when we were casting Southeast Asia, you'd see something like the Jug band out. So Tiny into Jug's a bit harder in terms of hunting down that pause 1 core. Just having that spell immunity for the Jug means that as long as that spin is off cooldown, it's going to be hard to burst him down. You're going to have to look elsewhere for the pickoffs on the Tiny, and that could cause some issues. So we'll see if PentAce can abuse that. Tiny mid, they can find a couple of heroes here that works out, but they don't have too much time left to pick.
1 second. They'll go for the OD pickup. Alright. That's the way they're going to try and deal with this Medusa. Feels like a good pick here for Ioya. If I'm perfectly honest though, John, even with the stand-in for NoPing, I really like their draft. I think they are going to be able to buy a lot of time for HFN to be able to farm up. We've seen HFN on these heroes before as well. He doesn't really take that much time. He does tend to get involved with his team during the mid-game at some point, quite early in comparison to other position ones that we've seen playing these heroes. What do you think, John? Whose draft do you prefer going into this game 1?
I think NoPing edges out slightly ahead, mainly because like you get this value of the OD last pick into Medusa. Sure, you can burn her mana really fast. You can drop the Santies to try and burst it down, but you have this Nyx, which is just the perfect counter pick to the OD already. So Ryoyo is gonna have a bit of a tricky time. He has to be a bit careful, has to watch where Matthew is. And we've seen Matthew in this Nyx before just perform spectacularly. So there's a bit of a back and forth there. I think the win condition for NoPing is slightly easier to pull off. I think it's fairly close. Like PentAce's draft, it's not as reliant on cooldowns. Like, yeah, you have Black Hole, but it's not the emphasis of the hero anymore. It's more in push potential. As the game drags on, that's where it gets a bit dicey. Like, Jug into Medusa is just super awkward for Jug. Because, again, it just boils down to Omni Slash. The downtime of that spell is way too long. And even if you get the Ags, it's not quite the same impact. So we'll have to see if the game does drag that long. I think if you do manage to stall it out for NoPing, you look a lot better. But if PentAce manages to play this faster pace with the draft they have on hand, it can be difficult for NoPing. Like the spike of this OD, say Meteor Hammer coming in, then you just get your levels up, level 12 spike with level 2 Sanities. It's not a safe game for HFN, so he's got to sit back a lot more and farm up a lot more. Maybe even consider an early BKB on the Medusa just to survive and join these early fights if he wants to.
Looks like top lane, we're going to have a bit of a 3-hero start here. Of course, Z-Freak on the Tusk definitely wants to try and go for a first blood with his team if he can. There are going to be enemies to go for. Matthew and Oscar hanging around on the DP, and Nyx will probably try to contest this bounty. This could end up in a very early first blood for PentAce if things do go their way. You've also got Flash around on the CM just in case they need his help. For now, NoPing just going to hold the high ground on the triangle. Eventually going back down. Z-Freak, he's going to get spotted, or maybe not. He hides in the fog of the Roshan pit. They don't know he's there. He's not going to go for the tag team yet. He is waiting. They are baiting with fear. Here comes Moo. They're being very patient. And it looks like it may not pan out. They may have waited a bit too long as Moo is still trying to go. They take the Bannerin away on the Enchantress. Now Oscar might be in danger, but a nice impale up from Matthew. It may just not matter as Oscar's going to die. Moo will take the first blood. And I love that play from Z-Freak, John, abusing the fog in the Roshan pit. And NoPing never knew he was there.
Yeah, Matthew never took the dip in, so Z-Freak gets a lot of value from that movement out. And they just get to lock in. In fact, they managed to break off their lanes now. So you see Z-Freak immediately TP bot. He's going to be holding that lane with snaking on the Enigma. And again, already hammering in first blood. You're not under too much pressure now, but you can play with a tag team, and there's a lot of damage that can fly out. So the CM will have to watch himself. D-Flash, of course, not starting with Windlace means you're a lot slower in this lane. If the Tusk gap closes with the boots, you might just be dead. So D-Flash has to be a bit cautious. At the least, you're taking some pressure off of HFN, so Medusa can just try and sit back and farm up. And you can see how much nuking damage is available here. Like, you have that Crystal Nova out, you have the Mystic Snake out, you can clear out these early Eidolons, so you will have to watch yourself if you're snaking. You don't want HFN finding all those last hits every single time.
Yeah, I love the way that they're playing this lane out. Just nuking the Eidolons ASAP with Crystal Nova and Mystic Snake, and of course HFN can just clean them up with right clicks afterwards. It's going to be very annoying for snaking to have to keep trying to deny these off. It's not going to be easy either when you have Flash there with the Crystal Nova. You'll see Z-Freak come in like this with the tag team. He might get a courier for his trouble, and does. He's going to take a lot of harassment out though. In fact, Flash, he wanted to keep going. He wasn't able to get the Crystal Nova off in time. But NoPing still have to be pretty happy with the way this lane's gone for them already. Still, we'll have a look at the other lanes. Of course, mid lane Dark Mago up against Ryoya. For now, is favoring the Tiny. Ryoya gonna take a bit more time to really be online with that Max Astral. Dark Mago, definitely good news for him to get this early start.
Yeah, and something that doesn't quite work for the OD anymore. Like the early levels are a bit harder for the OD to maintain. You have more uptime. Oh.
And they get Flash down at the bot lane, Snaking and Z-Freak just chasing all the way through. They'll even get it perfectly timed to pull away this creep wave. So the lane's hard for PentAce, but at least they get something.
Yeah, they're slowing down HFN a bit, and they're at least finding those support kills, so you can escalate on that Tusk a lot faster. That should allow Z-Freak to hit pretty nice timing on his level 3. Might line up with the 4-minute power runes as well, which helps the rotations mid. Does open up the map a little bit more. Allows us to look at the top lane as well. Take a peek there. Oscar on the DP with Matthew on the Nyx. A bit of a slower game for Matthew, just not getting the initial levels he'd want. And you even see a nice courier snipe mid. So Ryoya just losing out on his nulls. That's going to set off his lane even slower. Like, you need those stats to really apply the pressure onto Dark Mago. Not having it earlier on does slow down your pace a bit, so you're going to have to watch yourself in that OD and, again, contest those power runes as they come up.
I think more importantly, it's going to mean that Dark Mago can have an even better time on this Tiny without those null talismans being up. That's the one thing, right? You are going to be relying on this Tiny to set a big tempo in this game. And at least for now, Dark Mago's off to probably one of the better starts you could have asked for in an OD matchup. Of course, looking back at down a bot lane, HFN's 25 and 11. Now, of course, some of those are Eidolons, so they're not worth quite as much as real creeps, but they're pretty darn close. That is quite concerning already for PentAce. You definitely don't want HFN to be having this good of a time.
Yeah, it's way too much for the Medusa to have right now, and you are seeing the emphasis here is Z-Freak's just going for the pull, getting his own EXP. They don't manage to snag the power rune on Dark Mago, but it's still kind of captured here by D-Flash, and having that level 3 in the CM means that you've got all the levels on your laning skills, 1-1-1 now. You can maybe look for an opportunity around if you want to.
There's your Siphon out. It's not going to lead to a kill, just a bit of harassment. A few was there just in case with the level 2 spin. In fact, they might use it now. Oscar, he's out of position. They'll enchant him up. He's still a little bit tanky with that bracer. In fact, he's going to turn right back around on Fear. They get the impale off. Fear's trying to run, but they have a Crypt Swarm, but they miss it. Fear gets away by the skin of his teeth. That's a great kind of sidestep down south. Just barely avoiding the Crypt Swarm he knew was coming. He probably heard the mango being popped by Oscar. Very close call, however. In fact, a rotation is there by Dark Mago. They'll at least get moved for their trouble. And of course, they'll get both bounty runes up at that top lane.
Yeah, it sets up really nicely there. You still find a kill in the end. That's the first kill coming out for NoPing. That isolates Fear a little bit more. He is alone in the lane. He's out of regen, but allows your Enchantress to TP back in. So a supply run from Mu should help Fear sustain that lane and kind of just reset. Still a bit of a better start for NoPing so far. Less than 1k lead coming out. HFN is still having that free lane bot, and it's just a much better start for the Medusa compared to the Chug. So you will have to watch the Medusa's timings here. And again, you're just seeing Z-Freak not even bother running down in. Like, I thought I'd see him emphasize his level 3 timing to maybe look at support rotations down mid. But so far, he's just giving that lane solo to Snaking, and that's going to slow down his spikes on the Tusk. He's down mid now, but Dark Mago's already 6, so he's got insane burst with his Avalanche up in his first level of Grow Up.
It just seems kind of desperate right now for PentAce. His move has been caught out in the Radiant jungle, and they'll kill him off. Dark Mago, a second kill now on the Tiny. Really starting to set himself up. And like you said, Z-Freak doesn't have anything to do on this task. He's level 2. He's tried. He's gone between the bot and the mid lane. But there's been no openings. NoPing are just giving no chances. Perhaps now, though, they are quite forward down this bot lane. TP? Oh, the OD cancels it. In fact, it was cancelled off by the Avalanche of the Tiny, so now they'll turn right back around. HFN, he's out of mana. So at least they get all this mana gone. They're going to salve HFN up. But maybe now that they know the mana pool is down to 0, they could try to make a play. Flash is going to scout this out. In fact, Matthew has already rotated to make sure they can't do so. Now Ryoya shows up as well, and he does have sanities to drop and will commit it straight away. Z-Freak thinking about going back in, won't do so, but he may not be needed as HFN, oh, that's a great shot. Z-Freak locking down the Medusa. Astral's there by Ryoya, and they have the control now. What a shard's out. Dark Mago, however, has rotated, but he doesn't have anything like a blink yet. He's going to run into Z-Freak anyway, and will be able to get a trade. But it's definitely very favorable there for PentAce.
Yeah, they managed to kill off the big target that we've been talking about for such a long time. The Medusa does get slowed down there from that kill, and that does narrow the gap between Fear and HFN. So helps you repair your core matchups so far, and they're just applying aggression. They know Oscar's alone, so they can try to jump him as well up top.
They're going to try, but again, with that brace of phase boots, he's just a little bit too tanky to kill off with the spin. Still, this is going to buy a bit more time for Fear, and Fear was on an even CS with the DP, but now he can just get a little bit more ahead. Meanwhile, mid lane, a bit of a group up happening here from PentAce. Not going to amount to anything. It's like NoPing just happily back out. You'd love to just slow down the farm of Dark Mago though on that Tiny and make sure he doesn't get a quick blink, but it looks like he's going to get one regardless of what they try and do. Toss in onto Matthew. Impale does connect, and that'll be a dead Enchantress. Another kill for Dark Mago. That's his 4th one of the game. Z-Freak sticking around trying to set up something. Matthew going to chase him down. He has an Impale. Lands it as well. No snowball up. He'll go for the shards, but it won't matter. Flash is there with the Frostbite. A double kill out for Dark Mago. And he's just about 400 gold away from that Blink Dagger timing now. It's going to be very, very nice for NoPing. And considering how his game's going already, this Tiny is going to be a real menace.
Oh, it definitely will be. Just having that early blink means you can gap close, you can burst down the heroes that you catch out. It is a slower game for PentAce. They're trying to go for this Midas build-up on Ryoya. So he's not going for the early Meteor Hammer, he just wants the steady build-up. That might stall out his power spike, so like without the Meteor Hammer follow-up, you're not threatening towers, you're not clearing out creep waves as fast, you don't have the AoE damage anymore on the imprisonment, so there's no real wave clear for Ryoya, and that does mean he's just going to have to stay steady, although HFN.
They don't have Black Hole yet. They're still trying with the Midnight Pulse. They get rid of all his mana. The Necro Creep's quite annoying as well, but here comes Oscar. Exorcism popped, and Snaking is just going to be completely surrounded and is going to go down to Oscar. And of course, with that Exorcism, they can just go straight after that bottom tier 1 tower. Fear will try and pressure the opposing tier 1, but he is going to be able to secure it. So nothing's really lost but the Enigma.
Yeah, it's not the biggest loss, and the shove-in is still going to be steady as Fear does manage to find that top tier 1, so you're going to be trading evenly here. You have to watch this blink timing out, though. Dark Mago has the blink up. Ryoya does finish up the Midas, but again, that's not going to do much for him in these engagements. It just means the OD is going to have to sit back, build that farm up. Looks like they want a hyper carry OD going to the late game, and they need to stall out for that point.
Oh, Z-Freak. He has Ryoya around, but Ryoya doesn't realize he's being stalked right now by Matthew. And this is not what you want if you're an OD. Z-Freak going to try and run away, but Dark Mago's there with the blink reveal, and that's going to be another kill for the Tiny. And the one bright side for PentAce is the fact that Fear is farming by himself, but he's still behind the Medusa. And HFN, you know he's going to escalate. He's got the Yasha up now coming out on the courier. It's looking very problematic as time goes on.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Like, HFN should just steadily build up, and Fear, because he's going for the Maelstrom, I mean, he can still farm up decently with it. It's not going to be as amazing as a Medusa. So you're still playing this sort of farming game, and we've seen this in the first series, right? You play this core that wants to fight compared to a core that wants to farm. If you don't actually win these fights early on for PentAce, you just kind of lose out because you're not going to be as efficient. And you can see NoPing are ready to play for Protect 1. They're smoked up as 3. The blink on Dark Mago's up. they're just going to go hunting now.
Smoke on smoke. There is a black hole up on Snaking now. Dark Mago straight in on Ryoya. They might just commit the black hole here on the Tiny. They won't yet. Ryoya goes for the Astral. Now the black hole does catch out too, but Flash is there on the Spike Carapace. Matthew gets it off in time. They'll commit the Omni. They'll make sure they get one. Now Flash in danger is going to try and run, but Moo has the enchant. Meanwhile, towards the south, they do kill off Z-Free. It's a 2-for-1 trade thus far. It does favor PentAce. And that'll be it. NoPing. They don't want to play around any longer with this dire side. It looks like they're just going to let this bottom tier 1 tower go down to PentAce. And that's another big strength about this draft, is they do have a lot better push while that Exorcism is not up. They'll try to abuse it right now.
Yeah, I don't think you mind too much on NoPing. Like, you're still getting out free space for HFN in comparison, so you're still getting a lot of farm on the Medusa. You are pressured a bit more on PentAce to play this faster game. So these objectives are far more important for PentAce to find earlier on, and they do manage to snag a slight network lead now, 1k up on their end. NoPing, they are sitting on Exorcism right now. They should look to use that next. They need to find some of these initial tier 1s. They didn't manage to clear the bot. Mid is still looking healthy. You have HFN trying to solo push top, and he's getting some decent damage in, but it's not the quickest push. It does look like PentAce will just allow the top to go, as they are worried for mid. You can see the clump up mid, trying to anticipate that Exorcism coming out, but it's not the tower that NoPing's going for yet.
HFN just allowed to slowly chip away at that tier 1 top tower. I wonder what kind of itemization he goes for next. Like, do you bother rushing Manta on the Deucer? Would you rather just something else? He hasn't queued anything up yet, so we'll find out soon. Over in the Dire Jungle though, NoPing, they're looking for a target to pick off. Deep ward's being placed by Matthew. Exorcism being popped in that mid-tier 1 tower. Oscar wants to force the pressure and the rotations in. You do at least have a very fast Maelstrom up on Fear. So he does have some D push now on the Jug. At least for the creep wave, that is. And Oscar, I mean, this Exorcism's about to run out. They might try to jump in right after. Being very patient. Ryoya currently kind of busy with the neutral camp, and it looks like they're just going to be satisfied with the fact that their tier 1 mid tower is alive.
Yeah, I mean, they don't mind too much. Exorcism was popped for basically nothing from Oscar. They're getting some steady farm up on Ryoya. He hasn't been punished recently on the OD, but he is being scouted now.
That he is. Silent stop, no mana on Ryoya, but Snaking is going to come in from the side, and Matthew may just die. He gets a Spike Carapace off, still trying to run, but he's going to run right into Fear, and that'll be a nice kill there for the Jug. Oscar, definitely not the type to fight for the DP. He's going to be forced to back. While that was happening, HFN was trying to pressure the mid-tier 1 tower to force back the side of PentAce. But PentAce do take a slight net worth lead, and things are going fairly smoothly, at least for both teams.
Yeah, I think PentAce are going to be extremely happy about this slower pace of the game now. They won out the initial fights, they took more towers early on, and now they're just playing really well. Like, the Midas here from Ryoya is not really being punished as much. He is going to the BKB next, so that allows the OD to just stand in front, get his really big right clicks off, build up the damage, and potentially just burn through the Medusa if it's not ready. So HFN's going to have to dodge out fights earlier on. Did go for the Sanj and Yasha on the Medusa though, so you might want to assert some of that early presence, but you have to be careful. Even the Necronomicons being upgraded to max here from Snaking early on does mean that the rotations for the Nyx are going to be harder to pull off with the true vision you get on the map. So not something you typically see in Enigma's Rush. Like, you normally see just Necronomicon 1 into something else, but just having that vision game does help out massively, and they will try again on mid.
This time around, they're going to get it, I think. Snaking, he has the black hole, but he has no way to close the gap. They're gonna try, but Dark Mago's right in with the Avalanche Toss, getting rid of the Enigma. Now the Stone Gaze catching out Fear, but they want Ryoya dead first. They'll chase him down, but he's gonna get the Astral off and survive. Still Fear in massive danger, gets the Omni off in time. Flash just channeling the freezing field, does get the kill. Moose still trying to run. Can he get himself out? Dark Mago even going after Z-Freak while this is happening. Looks like Z-Freak is set to die. Moo gets himself out. So does Ryoya. But it's a 3-for-1 trade. They got the mid-tier 1 tower. They got everything they wanted, NoPing. They'll happily just leave the area now.
Yeah, it's a pretty big win for them. They did pop all their spells for that, but it pays off in a big way. Now they've also scattered out the Necronomicon creeps. And, oh, another one.
Why the hell not? Dark Mago, godlike now. Sitting at 9-0-2, and HFN is very happy about it. So is Oscar. So is Flash, apparently.
Yeah, it's a really strong
Matthew,
performance from Dark Mago.
Matthew's not
No,
happy for
nothing
some
for
reason.
Matthew.
No tip from Matthew.
Well, I mean, he's had to bear the brunt of the last few engagements. He's had a good time on Nyx, though, regardless. 1-2 to 8. So he's still setting up for his team quite nicely. PentAce are smoked up, but Flash breaks it.
Yeah. Good tank of the gank. Dark Mago, he'll throw out a casual avalanche. I honestly just think Flash is happy about that. As long as it's not a core dying, who the hell cares if you lose your Crystal Maiden? Ryoya, sticking around, snaking, still has that black hole. But without the BKB up, it is just so hard to land it. You've got the Spike Carapace, you've got the Avalanche you can throw out, you've got everything. It's just very difficult for snaking to find a good black hole setup.
Yeah, it's not the easiest time to play around that, so I can understand why he opted for Max Necronomicon, just so he has more laning pressure, more farm that can come out. You are starting to see NoPing pull ahead in the farm game, though. HFN just given so much space now, up at 10k on the Medusa, Fear lagging behind at 8.3. And this is where it starts to build up. If you're getting that space out, it looks like HFN might be opting for the fast Scotty, but could still go for the disassembly into Manta if he wanted to. So really open in what he could do with his build-up. Either way, it's going to be really nice into the Jug. You are seeing Fear opt for his own Manta style, and he's not too far off. So you're still hitting the power spikes here in the Juggernaut quite nicely. I think my issue now is looking back at the OD. Like, you see Ryoya, he gets the imprisonment off and nothing happens. There's just no threat of Meteor Hammer, no threat of any further damage. So even if he finds a hero to isolate, they can't really follow up on the side of PentAce if Z-Freak's not around to commit. And that just makes it more difficult to get their aggression off. You're just missing out on a big spike with the OD by just not building a Meteor Hammer.
That seems to be the trend, John, when we see a Midas pick up on any hero for that matter. It just doesn't really seem to do too much. I feel like IceFrog should just delete the item at this rate. It's just... it's too hard to balance, the Midas. It's either really bad or really good. I mean, right now, I guess it's kind of average, I guess? I don't know. I kind of lean more towards the bad side than the good with this Midas pickup.
Yeah, it's so greedy. Like, it slows down your game too much. The EXP you get isn't amazing as well. You can see Ryoya is stuck at level 13. I mean, even HFN is at 16. And they are hunting. They found Z-Freak.
Oh, easy kill for Dark Mago. Snowball going to be there, but Z-Freak is going to try and buy some time. That is a nice block, but Matthew is around with the Impale. I take it back. Definitely not an easy kill for Dark Mago, but he does get it.
Yeah, and you're really happy about that on the Tiny. I mean, Dark Mago, 10-0. Like, this is just such a really good run on the Tiny. He's going for the BKB next. And once you have BKBs, you're going to have issues with the OD because suddenly all your spells do absolutely nothing. You can't Arcane Orb, you can't Imprison, you can't Santi's Eclipse. And that just makes the timing really hard. And even HFN, right? Like, he's not rushing a BKB on the Medusa, but he's got so much stats, he's got so much int on his own that the mana pool differential shouldn't lead to too much damage coming through. Maybe you can burn through the mana shield of HFN, but you are most certainly not bursting down the Medusa with the OD anytime soon. And the Medusa can still opt for a BKB down the line anyway. So you're hitting all these spikes on all of these heroes from NoPing. PentAce, they're not too far behind. They are only 1k behind NoPing. You are still seeing Fear build up. Does have his Manta up now. And you do look for a smoke play here.
Gonna try. Dark Mago, he breaks the smoke of that Necromonicon unit, and they see them. They know they've smoked up. Snake King trying to act cool, just farming the neutral camp, but they know Matthew gonna break another smoke, this time on Ryoya with the Vendetta. TP's in, Dark Mago has to cancel. That was a very optimistic TP. But that's it. PentAce, once they realize that the smoke was broken, they knew. There's just no point sticking around. At least it does give time for Snake King to pick up the blink now. So he's got a way to initiate and close the gap.
Yeah, they've got some plays to make with a black hole. Just have to be careful without that BKB timing. You have to catch out 2 heroes. You want the Tiny and the Nyx sort of in there, maybe even the CM, as if they are allowed to just get their spells off. It's not going to be a very long black hole, and you do have to kind of be cautious with your approach here for snaking. Still, the side of NoPing, I don't think they mind this. They're still getting farm up. They might lose G-Flash, though.
They may. Matthews then with the Spike Carapace, and he blocks the way. Snowball in. Snake King with the Malefice. They may have gone a bit too far now. Z-Freak needs a way out. He's been frostbitten, however, and he's going to die. They do still kill off Flash with the Sanities. But it's just a very messy kind of engagement there from PentAce. And they rush for the Roshan. Sanities is down. That's a lot of damage missing. Exorcism pop by Oscar. That's going to make it a big win for NoPing if they get this for free.
And they are going to get it. There's no contestation from PentAce. They could play with a black hole in, but Snake King's on the opposite side of the map. You say a lot of damage with Sanities, Mike? HFN was caught in that? It did no damage. HFN has 1.7k mana, and I think Ryoya, if he doesn't get any Arcane Orbs off, he actually has like 1.3. So if he just raw drops the Sanities, you're not getting any value against Medusa. That's just a massive issue.
He's going to be able to back off. I do agree, though, John. That is a pretty big issue if you can't get through the mana pool of HFN. HFN's going to TP down bot to deal with this creep wave as well, so just not allowing that bot pressure. NoPing, they do have to be slightly cautious. Ryoya's going to go in with Snake King. Spike Carapace there by Matthew, but they'll get the kill, and they'll also find Flash. Nice double kill there for Ryoya. At least you got something for your trouble if you are PentAce.
Yeah, it's a pretty big commitment, though, from Ryoya. Like, that's his 10-second BKB charge on 2 supports. So you're not finding the biggest kills that you could without item use, and I think NoPing are just going to be fairly happy about that. Like, yeah, you drop 2 heroes, you give kills to Ryoya, but it's a BKB. It's a BKB charge being used on supports. You're never going to be too unhappy about that here.
HFN being slowed down by the enchant. Matthew coming in, but he cannot protect that tier 2 tower. PentAce finally get it down. Looks like PentAce, they're just going to run for it. Not risking sticking around here, of course. They are still just slightly behind in terms of farm of NoPing, and they're not ready for a 5v5 engagement. You would at least want the Eye of Skadi up on Fear first. Thing is, though, by the time he has it up, HFN might have the Butterfly up. So then you're going to need a way of dealing with that. And hell, by the time the Butterfly is up, you might slowly but surely be getting into that Divine Rapier territory for Fear. I guess the MKB is still nice, but is it going to be enough? We'll hold that thought, because they found Z-Freak on the Tusk. The Frostbite, he has nowhere to go. They toss him up, they silence him. That'll be the 11th kill now for Dark Mago. And of course, it's straight onto the bottom tier 2 tower for NoPing.
Yeah, just want that easy objective. PentAce are not in position to contest, and they find one.
That's a big one. Fear, he's going to Manta and run. He is barely going to survive. He had no help around him. But they just didn't have enough damage to really burst him down. Still, while that was happening, Exorcism was popped. They're down at the bot lane. HFN is tanking the tower. Oscar trying to chip away at this tier 3. Astral's there. Matthew going to move in, not getting the spike carapace he wanted. Dark Mago, he's looking for a toss back. He's not going to get one either, but they've got the tier 3 tower, and now the toss back's there onto Z-Freak. Astral, however, and Snowball being committed, but Z-Freak is going to die no matter what. HFN still going forward onto Ryoya. He has the Aegis, so there's not really much to be afraid about for the Deucer. He is out of mana, however. Fear gonna move in, Sanity's drop, HFN drops very low and does die. Snaking still has the black hole, they're just gonna commit it here, I think. You may as well, HFN, no, they will wait because the Avalanche toss is there. Dark Mago finds the Enigma, Stone Gaze out, they will find another 2 heroes for NoPing. And that was a dieback on Z-Freak as HFN just right in after Fear. They still can't get the black hole off. There's just constant stuns flying out. They do at least protect the bottom racks. And HFN, I think he's a bit too low to keep going. So they get the tier 3 and that's going to be enough. HFN now has the butterfly up. Would have loved that about, 10 seconds ago, but it won't matter. They can always go back for that Rax. PentAce, I mean, your back's against the ropes here.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and they rely on these big cooldowns now to win these fights. They need the Sanities, they need the Omni Slash from Fear, and they need the Black Hole, which we still haven't seen from Snaking, unfortunately. Just not finding the angles. Every single time they've got some way to break the blink off, whether or not it's the Mystic Snake bouncing around or the Spike Carapace on the Midnight Pulse, just stopping that initiation from happening, and it's just really difficult. Now that you have this Butterfly as well, I mean, you have natural, 45% evasion for HFN, so he's just that much bulkier up front. Your Juggernaut's not gonna be right-clicking through. Ryoya is still having some impact with the Astral, just constantly slowing down HFN and building up a lot more mana for that Sanity's drop, so you are getting value from the OD now. It just doesn't feel like enough value, and I think there's enough here for NoPing to just kind of play safe, pull back, maybe wait out for the next Roche before piercing the high ground, but they've got this massive lead to play with now, and it's going to be a lot harder for PentAce to deal with this. Like, you've got the Titan Sliver up in HFN, probably the perfect Medusa item here as well, and you're just working the map a lot better than PentAce can at the moment.
That they are. BKB to come out as well. He's trying to continue working towards that Skadi. It's definitely going to be a nice pickup, but even then, you're still not going to really be able to solve all the issues you're having. He's going to take the outpost away, but they are slowly closing the gap now. Matthew did not spot him. He will run south and just get himself out of there. Problem is, they are still going to get the outpost back, but it looks like PentAce, they'll go back for the top outpost instead.
Yeah, just evening out the EXP gain for both sides as we approach the 30-minute mark. So neither side going to have a big boon there from the outpost early on. You are seeing the farm still kind of build up for NoPing, right? It's still holding steady. Ryoya is keeping up because of that Midas. So at this point, I guess you could say it's paying off as he is above Dark Mago's farm. You just have to watch yourself. They find a top tier 2 now, but that could just be the high ground opening up with the double damage here on HFN.
Yeah, they even have the Soul Crest to speed his attack speed up. Oscar with the Exorcism going to move in. They'll try to delay and chip away at HFN, but it's going to be easier said than done. In fact, they'll go for a split push. Fear is there with the Eidolons and the Necro Creeps, and they're going to take that tier 3 tower very quick. NoPing, they are eventually going to bring HFN back to deal with this. They already got the bottom racks, however. They at least get something before they are forced to back out. But PentAce, they do buy themselves a little bit more time. How much more time do they need, though? I mean, Fear is... he's about 6k behind the Deucer now.
Yeah, it's a difficult game for the Chug. Like, he has this good spike with the Ag short up. He doesn't have a Basher to really get the most utility from that. They are at least constantly split pushing, and they do at least snipe couriers here. Really good micro coming out. That's 2 couriers now. That's a pretty big one as well. Wind Waker being taken out from Oscar. It means that you're not going to have that saving grace for Medusa. We've seen that play out a lot, but you are still giving some kills here. Dark Mago finds another solo pick-off, and he's going for the AC. So he's got the Chrysalis up. Once you have the AC, you're going to have a lot more damage coming through with less armor around you, and even the attack speed is big for the Tiny. So I think Dark Mago is actually itemizing quite well going into the late game point, just staying relevant with his physical damage output. You do have that Scotty up finally for Fear. It has taken quite a fair bit of time. They could try to play around that if they wanted to. It's still going to have issues into the butterfly of HFN, and HFN is the one to queue up the Divine. So just trying to just end the game on the Medusa. We've seen that point really hit up for the Medusa once you hit that spike. And they just haven't been able to kill HFN. Not since laning phase have they really been able to get that done. So yeah, I think it's a pretty justifiable pickup for HFN here. Although PentAce do smoke up.
Yeah, they've got Blink, BKB, Black Hole, and Snaking. You've still got to be a bit worried about the Stone Gaze. He pops his BKB. I believe that was just a pure misclick there from Snaking. Matthew. Run away, Snowball, not going to connect. They're still in vision, but eventually they are going to lose it. Dust is still there, however. Matthew, it's about to wear off, but the Vendetta has also worn off. He's going to buy a lot of space for his team, however. This a 4-man Spike Carapace, Impale out. Matthew does finally tie, but HFN, yeah, he gives him the tip. HFN's been farming that whole time. He's going for a Divine Rapier now on the Medusa. Just screw it. And I may as well.
Yeah. They can't kill him. You know, he's just so confident that they can't. Like, it's a perfect time for it. And the Roshan's respawning really soon as well. Oscar dipped back in there. It's going to be up in 1. They don't actually spot it. So that's a bit of a boon for PentAce. And could be risky fighting in with the BKB Black Hole as well. So there are some tools for PentAce to contest the Roche Pit a lot better now. But I think NoPing are still going to be eyeing that objective next. They could just pop the Stone Gaze out on HFN, and that should be enough to stave off PentAce's fight. So still some options here for NoPing as well. And Roche is really where that next big fight breaks out. Like, PentAce needs to pick that up for themselves if they want to get some more objectives on the map. NoPing as well, if they want to take the next set of rags, will have better security with Aegis and Cheese. So let's see if they force that issue soon. HFN just making good progress onto that Divine. And his damage output's just going to be ridiculous. They do manage to finally spot the Roche, but they know PentAce is also aware.
I think you can just... It's very scary playing into the Roshan pit with the Enigma against you, but NoPing might be able to just start it anyway, just based off how this game's gone. But now they are going to play it very safe, and you know, I guess it's pretty standard. Just be careful when there's a BKB, Blink, Enigma. Don't give him the easiest black hole of his life. There's your Wind Waker now on Oscar as well, so he has a way of saving HFN if he does get into a pickle. They are going to start the Roshan. Try and finish this quick. It does get scouted. Ryoya shows up. Nobody being caught yet from NoPing. Everyone just kind of escaping. They're back into the Roshan pit. HFN, he's still going. Seafreak again going to scout this out. They'll send the Jug Illusion in. Astral there. Another Astral out. And toss in. They've got the OD Ryoya. He is forced the BKB up. Snaking not going into the black hole yet, but Ryoya is dropping very low. He'll force stuff away. Sanities will kill off Matthew. They are not going to lose Ryoya either. He does barely survive. Now the black hole comes in, but the Wind Waker is going to save the day for HFN. He's going to be fine. He'll turn right back around. Dark back on a double. There's your Omni out from Fear, but it's not doing anything. The damage is not high enough. Fear is going to die. Seafreak trying to run. He might go down as well. In fact, he'll just be fine as Dark Mago is still trying to find him. You know what's funny, John? I believe NoPing actually may have taken this from the cut. I specifically remember the cut running a Dusa and Lil Nick saving Scourge McDuck many times with that Wind Waker. So perhaps NoPing
Oh, yeah.
taking a note out of their book.
Definitely. It's so impactful when you've got this core. You can just able to live through these big team fights. They force the buybacks in PentAce. They've got Aegis Cheese on hand, Divine on hand. So this game's looking done already. Like, PentAce needs to find a way to angle back in, but they don't have Black Hole.
It's looking very over. Tier 4 towers now under siege. They've got 25 seconds without the Jug, and they are taking this tower very quick. No exorcism, but it won't really matter with the Divine Rapier on HFN. Matthew's just going to hold everyone else back as now they're onto the Ancient. There's no call yet. They're trying to buy more time. Snaking BKB's up. HFN moves in. And the Ancient's gone.
Oh my god. It's a perfect game for Dark Mago. 16-0. They couldn't kill him. Not once. And NoPing. I mean, they come out on top. There were some answers here from the side of PentAce. They go into the OD, but I think itemization might have costed them here. Right? Ryoya going for the Bindus allowed him to keep up, and he did go for the Ags buildup, but there were a lot of openings early on where he was finding some great Astrals. He didn't have follow-up. And I think if you had the Meteor Hammer on hand, you might have been able to put a dent there on Dark Mago. You might have been able to hunt HFN a lot faster. Fear as well, like, this is a pretty standard Chug build. But I think the Scotty divergence from a Basher when you go for the Ag Shard sort of slows down your aggressive pace as well. And you saw the issue in the last Roche fight. There was no damage coming through, no control. So maybe reconsider what they build up here from PentAce. They had a pretty decent draft. It's just the itemization cost their timings to just miss the mark. And NoPing just managed to escalate from there.
Yeah, I mean, let's not take it away from NoPing either, John. A very good and solid kind of game from them. And
oh, yes.
Well, they're looking very good for game number 2 at least. We'll see how those drafts go in about 10 minutes, as we are going to have to head to a short break. But after that break, we'll be right back with game 2's draft.